I was wailing. I almost rolled on the, like, the way cartoons cry and tears. I was crying, so my mother was like, no, you're not going back, please stay, because it was so painful. Hello again, guys, and welcome back to Ala Nation. I'm your host, Kate. How have you guys been? How's the weather treating you wherever you are? It's starting to get a bit chilly here in China. China has 4 seasons, like every other, or most of the other countries outside Africa. But I've felt like compared to Sweden, they mostly have winter and summer, because you don't really experience their spring and autumn as extreme weathers, because they're just there. They're just a bit chillier than, like, the weather is manageable, but there's summer and winter. Okay, winter is not as bad as Sweden, but their summer is extreme. Sometimes it gets to 40 degrees. But yeah, now that the weather conversation is out of the way, away with the small talk, let's get to business. Yeah, today being a Monday, I just want to talk about something inspirational, something to keep you who's abroad a bit motivated and know that whichever situation you're going through, you can get out of it. I want to talk about my struggle with mental health abroad. Like my first 2 years, let's say 3 years in Sweden were very tough. They were so tough. Sometimes I used to wonder if this will be over. Have you ever gone through such a tough time? You feel like you won't get out of it. Like, I remember, and it started creeping on me slowly by slowly. I didn't see it coming. I just know that I woke up one day and I was very depressed. So it was me. No, it's funny because so good things would happen and bad things would happen. Like I was working for one of the leading automotive companies in the world, but at the same time I didn't have accommodation, because it's very hard to find accommodation in Sweden once you're out of your previous accommodation. So I'm living in the ghettos, struggling. In the process, I forgot to register my address in my new place. So what happened? Yeah, so some of my mail never got to me, and it was actually about taxes for my vehicle. And because I didn't have the mail, I never paid for the toll. So that caught up with me as well. It was tough. I was able to get out. Like, I innocently told them what led to that, and they believed me. I feel like if you're actually open to people and vulnerable to them, they believe you, because they believed me and cancelled they were going to put me in something called Chronofogden. It's like the credit, like if they put you in that Chronofogden thing, I'm going to explain what Chronofogden means below. But if they do that, just know that it's beginning of bad credit for you, and it can really affect your life. In Sweden, like getting a permanent residency permit, because it shows that you don't pay your bills and debts. So yeah, I was able to get out of that. And the cold, God, Sweden can get cold. The Nordics and darkness and people who don't smile. Ooh. Combine those three and everything is great. So that really affected me a lot. So my mental health just depreciated, and I don't know whom I was waiting for to come and save me, because at that point I just felt like I felt like I had destroyed my life. Like, okay, fine, I have this well-paying job, I'm investing, but the quantity of life is good. My bank account looks good, but the quality of life, I'm not happy inside. People make fun of my accent. There's a lot of microaggressions, and Sweden, as I've mentioned in a previous episode, they're not direct with their communication. So you're bullied and you don't know how to speak up, because you don't know how to say, this is exactly what's happening. So, and I'm also in spaces where I'm the only African woman. I'm very ambitious, and that was not going well with some people. So they did everything possible to step on me and make me feel like I'm nothing. So with time, I sank into depression. Remember, I don't have anyone to talk to. There's no sunlight, so lack of vitamin D is not helping either. So I sank into depression, and I started seeing a therapist. And that's another problem, because you seeing therapists who don't understand you, they think of your problem from the perspective of their race, or rather the perspective of the struggles they have gone through. And I remember one time talking to a therapist, and for some reason they concluded I am depressed because I have money problems. I was like, where did you get that? I went to another one. I tried to explain what I was going through. They wouldn't let me finish my sentence because they thought they knew better. What? Leave alone the therapist. I remember one time I had a swelling on my ear. It turns out I had gotten chicken pox from kids. I went to the doctor, and the doctor I tried to tell him, no, these are not pimples, because I had them in my head. He said, oh, okay, maybe it's a mosquito. I'm like, mosquitoes don't bite me like this. I'm not one of those people that mosquitoes like. You know, mosquitoes tend to like some people. Me, they don't like me. I could be sleeping next to someone, the mosquitoes are dancing Lingala on top of him and just ignoring me. They're like, sometimes I feel like mosquitoes are discriminating. Bite me once and let me know that I'm human. Anyway, I digress. So anyway, yeah, the whole thing was taking a toll on me. I remember one time at work, I didn't even realize how this bad was. I felt so much pain on this hand, and like I thought I would die, like the piercing on my heart, and I was rushed to hospital. All of a sudden I have 1,000 things in my heart and all over my body. They put me in. It was bad. Turns out I was just having panic attacks, and I was so scared of speaking up, because I was in a situation or in a space where the previous person had gone through the same, and actually they left because of this. So I was going through this silently because I didn't want anyone to think that I was weak. I didn't want people to think that I was not strong enough. So I was keeping this positive outlook, like I had this pain and I was pretending to be fine, and I was like, hey. But deep down I was dying. So on that Friday I went to hospital, and they just said it was panic attack and anxiety, and that was the beginning of my struggle with mental health. So this is happening in 2018. I lost interest in doing anything. I wouldn't even go out for a walk. I spent my days indoors, locked in, because my self-esteem is now at the gutters. 2019, it got out of hand. I tried everything, changing my mindset. I was now hallucinating. It was terrible. And I remember one time I went back home. I went back home for my 30th birthday, and I was only able to go for a week. And on my way back, I cried. No, not on my. I cried on my way down to Kenya because I knew it was such a short time. So I was crying and crying. I've not even arrived, but I'm crying, thinking that I will come back to this again. I go to Kenya. On the day of coming back to Sweden, I cried so much. I cried. I was wailing. I almost rolled on the, like, you know the way cartoons cry and tears. I was crying. So my mother was like, no, you're not going back. Please stay, because it was so painful. So yeah, so this is about 2020. Yeah, no, 2020 I was 31. So actually I never celebrated my 30th birthday. So I decided to celebrate my 31st as my 30th because I wanted to be with my friends. And so we come back, the pandemic happens. So now we are working from home. This was kind of helpful to not go out. We are not just working from home, we are socializing. Everything is happening at home. I mean, not we are socializing, but rather the social life has been cut off. Not that I had any. But yeah, so now I think I have caught a break. Then David Floyd happens, and that's when I was like, I can't. I'm not gonna be a victim again. Because I remember being in a space where someone said, oh, you know, the rest of the world was like, well, Black Lives Matter, we were even kneeling. Someone said, oh, it's just the politics in the US. And I was like, politics in the US? I just watched someone who looks like me being murdered on live television. That's not politics. That has affected me. So anyway, I think that was my turning point. I was like, nobody cares. Nobody cares on the amount of pain they inflict on you or you're going through. You are on your own. So there were two things. I was either gonna, unlife myself or get out of it strong. And my mindset changed completely. I started by faking it. I would fake confidence. I would fake interest in things. And I think I did that for like 6 months. I would pretend I'm interested in leaving the house to go for a walk. And I realized my brain slowly started, because when you're depressed, you feel like, I slowly started going up. I mean, it was not an easy journey. And ever since then, my life, how I view life and how I view challenges changed completely. Like I still go through these challenges, but I give myself grace period to recover. I'm not gonna sink, because once you sink, there's a difference between going through the pain and understanding the pain and allowing the pain to carry you. So first things, I never put myself in positions of